So welcome back to another episode, and today I'm going to review Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Now I'm going to review this game, but I'm going to do it with no spoilers, so I'm not going to talk about any of the story of the game. I'm not going to talk about any of the plot details in that way, anything that could possibly spoil the game for you. But I am going to show gameplay and stuff like that, so it's going to be a very fine line, but I'm going to do my very best not to spoil a damn thing. Now, I just finished my first playthrough of the game, which was the basic playthrough of the first 50 missions and some side op missions. But there's a lot more to do. The game is massive, and I'm going to talk all about it here. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is an ambitious game. Let me tell you, it's probably one of the most over-ambitious games I have ever played. There is so much content in this game. I don't even know how many hours it would take you to see and do everything in the game, so it's quite crazy. Now, I finished all the Metal Gear Solid games from 1 to 5 now, and the one thing that I can say is regularly a Metal Gear game will take you on a basic playthrough from 9 to 12 hours easily. That's not doing all the extra stuff that always adds up the hours for the game, but usually Metal Gear games for the most part are very, very short. Not here. My first basic, and I mean basic, playthrough of the game took me no less than 40 plus hours. It really did. There was so much stuff to do. I couldn't believe it. Every time I thought the game was over, it kept on going. But I guess we can understand that with an alleged $80 million budget to make the game. And I'm telling you, you can see $80 million in this game. I could see it every time I was playing it, and I just can't believe, and I'll say it again, you can't believe the amount of stuff in this game. But the game is not without its problems. It is not a perfect game. I gotta say that, sadly so, but it's still a great game. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, is still my favorite Metal Gear game of all time. But The Phantom Pain is up there as one of the best as well. So let's just get the graphics out of the way. Let's just cover that first. Outstanding, fantastic, an orgasm for your eyes. I swear to God, when I was riding on the horse through the landscape, I could not believe how wonderful and gorgeous the game was, with waterfalls and lush forests and incredible deserts, and you just cannot believe the amount of textures in this game. You can't believe the amount of work put into the scenery alone. Running always at a constant 60 frames a second, it looked gorgeous. I couldn't find any complaints with the graphics, nor did I want to. And at any given time, it could rain, a sandstorm could come in, blinding your visibility, or it could change from day to night. Now, I said that Metal Gear Solid 5 is a very different beast than the rest of the Metal Gear games, and that is true. And we'll start with the cinematics. Usually, in every single Metal Gear game, the cinematics are the forefront of the game. Usually, they are, telling the story through gigantic cinematics that you're sitting there for a long time watching. And sometimes it's very convoluted, very confusing, and sometimes it's not. But for the most part, there's a lot of cinematics in most Metal Gear games. In this game, not so much. They've really scaled back the cinematics. Storytelling elements. There's not a lot of it, but what is there is really excellent, and it really does push the story forward. So from cinematics, we go obviously into story, and how does this game stack up story-wise to the rest of the Metal Gear series? This game fits in perfectly into the timeline, and we all know that the Metal Gear timeline is very long, very convoluted, and a little bit confusing for most people. But just know this, that this game just takes place before Metal Gear 1 on the MSX. So you start this game, you were playing Big Boss, and you're in charge of the Diamond Dogs, a rogue military group. So let's talk about gameplay. This subject is huge. There's a lot of gameplay elements. First of all, there's over 50 regular story missions plus side op missions. And within those missions, there's other missions to do within those. So to complete S rank, you will have to complete over 5 or 6 tasks per mission. And most missions range from go rescue this person, go kill all these people, go destroy this tank, or go capture that armored truck. But also in the missions, you're not solo, you can pick a buddy. Yes, you can pick your horse to ride around on, you can pick a wolf, You can pick a robot and a female called Quiet if you can find her. So you're dropped into an open, huge stage via helicopter, and you have to use your map and locate your way to your target. Now, that's the difference between older Metal Gear games, is that usually the levels would be a lot smaller, a little bit more intimate, where now it's humongous, and you get on your horse and you're running. I mean, you're running for ages through these incredible environments, but they're huge. They really, really are. So most of the meat and potatoes in this game is your mother base. That is your central headquarters. Now, this is your base where you can expand it. You can make it larger. You can recruit troops into it. You can go into the battlefield, capture animals, capture men, send them to the base, and have them populate your base. You can also send weapons and armor and vehicles to your base, rare metals, any kind of item that you can grab in the field missions, you can send to your mother base to improve it. And this is also a place where you can upgrade and enhance your weapons and items. And let me say, I have never seen more weapons in a game like this before. I've never seen this many weapons in a Metal Gear game. Never mind items and enhancements. It's crazy how in-depth they got with this. You can also send your troops on missions to go invade certain places and capture certain items. All these things level up your troops and improve Mother Base. I spent so much time tinkering around with Mother Base and just playing with what I can do with my troops and sending them to R&D divisions or improving this division. It's crazy, as I say, how in-depth this gets. It's almost a little bit overwhelming. There's other stuff that you can find on the playfield that I love. I mean, I absolutely love this. Being a child of the 80s, going out there, because the game takes place in the 80s, finding a cassette player in the game that's playing music, taking that cassette with you. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto, and you can play it at any time during the game. So I was having some really hilarious times playing Rebel Yell or Take On Me for missions. It just enhanced it so much and made it just so much cooler. Now, getting back to the missions, they're so interesting. There's so many different ways to get through any given level. There really is. There's so many possibilities. And that's one thing I do like about the open world environments, but there's something about the levels that does drag it down for me a little bit. At one point in the game, I just felt it was rinse and repeat over and over and over again. It was, here what the mission is. You're in the helicopter. It drops you off. You look at your destination on the map. You get on your horse. You ride to that destination. You go through some encampments. You shoot some guys. You get to the spot. You rescue a guy. You bring him back. Get on the helicopter. Bring him back to Mother Base. Rinse and repeat. And you do those levels over and over and over again. And they're fun. Don't get me wrong. They're fun. But sometimes I felt that I was running through levels for a long period of time, going, oh, okay, I'm on the horse for a long time, just running to a level. But I did appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I did love the levels. They were beautiful. But sometimes it felt like, oh, I gotta run another 10 minutes or so. It's not that long, but it feels that long when you're playing the game quite a lot to get to your destination. Another thing that was really funny in the game as well, and I'm a huge Kojima fan. I absolutely have loved every one of his games, including this one. I do like it. But my God, every single mission, we're talking 50 missions, where it starts off and it's showing you who you're going to be fighting against in that given mission. And that was bugging me because sometimes it would ruin the sense of surprise. So it'd be like, you're fighting this in this level. I was like, oh, am I? That's like is that a boss type of character? I'm like, oh, why are you telling me that? They're like credits that roll before you start the mission. And then when you finish the mission, it's always like created and directed by Hideo Kojima. And it's like, yeah, I know that. After 50 times, I kind of know that. I just thought it was really weird how there had to be a start and end to every single mission. You know, I can understand at the beginning of the game, the end of the game, or maybe chapters, stuff like that, but 50 times going? It's just like, and all the side op missions, it just seemed kind of a lot. Now, something unusual happened to me within the game, and this is no spoiler. I got to like level 30, 31, and the game at that point is over. It really is. It feels like it's done. You finish it and it's over, and I was completely satisfied with the ending at that point. Wow, I was like, I thought there's just 50 missions, but it's only about 30. I'm like, I'm really surprised. I thought it was going to be a lot more. But, and this is what's strange about this. It ends, and I'm like, oh, that's it, you know, and I started thinking about, oh, I'll do a review in this game and all that. And then all of a sudden, no, boom, chapter 2 starts. And I'm like, there's more? How can you top that ending? Because the ending was quite good. There's more? And then you do another 20 missions. Now, this is where it gets really unusual. The next 20 missions, there's a lot that are original, but a lot of recycle levels from the beginning. But there'll be missions where you have to get into the base that you already did earlier on, but using no weapons, and you can't be seen by anybody. And they're very, very tough. I won't lie. I spent a lot of time on some of those levels, but I'm like, oh, I didn't mind the recycling, but it was just, it seemed really off to me. The game at that point after level 30s took a really weird turn. Now, there may be a reason behind this. I just heard, this is allegedly, I haven't seen it myself. I'm not a data digger myself, but some people have found out that there's hidden data in the game and that it says that there's a chapter 3, or there was supposed to be. Because the game kind of ends and it's like, oh, that was great. But it just feels very, I don't know. I don't know if something happened, if that was the you know, after level 30 was the breakdown with Kojima and Konami. It just feels that there was supposed to be a lot more. And there is, trust me, up to level 30, that alone would be good enough. But because they kept going, makes you feel like there was supposed to be a lot more in the game. It's very unusual, and anybody who's gone to that level, I think, understands what I'm talking about. But overall, a fantastic experience. It really, really is. It does get a little repetitive. It really does. But overall, this is a fantastic Metal Gear game and one worthy of your time. I'd really say so. Is it a perfect Metal Gear game? A 10 out of 10? I'm not really a guy who likes to give 10 out of 10s. I really try to stay away from that. I'll say that it's a near perfect Metal Gear game. It really is, but there's a few things that kind of, if I was going to give it anything, maybe I'd give it an 8 out of 10. But that's a great score if I was going to give it that. But I can say this is how I like to rate a game. For me personally, I was in that world invested. I was screaming, throwing my controller down, frustrated, elated. I felt every single kind of emotion playing this game. And there was one day that I sat down for 14 hours and played the game because I was so into it. You know, not because I had to do a review, not because of anything like that, but because I was so absorbed into the world. It was so wonderful, and I had such a great time with it. I think it really lives up to the Metal Gear name. It's really, but the funny thing is, the game ends, you know, like it's over. And you know, I walked away and I kind of went to my patio and I stood there for a while and got some air, and it kind of hit me. That's probably the last Metal Gear game that I'm gonna play from Kojima. And there was a real moment there I had. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be it. This is the end. And then I just thought to myself, all the experiences that Kojima and, you know, has given to me over the years. Like, remember when Metal Gear Solid 1 came out? It was a game changer. It was next generation, you know? And for every generation of hardware, it's been wow, you know? And the same with this game. It's a wow game. It really is. It has some wow moments, cinematically, graphically, gameplay-wise, surprises that I haven't even mentioned because I don't want to mention them. It's a hell of an experience, and I was kind of bummed out that I wasn't going to get that experience again. I was like, am I not going to have that Metal Gear, you know, experience one more time in my life? And I can't grumble. I had it 5 fucking amazing times. So, guys, that's my review of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. A really excellent game, one that I highly recommend. So, anyways, guys, until next time.